Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In chapter 1061 of One Piece, we had some incredible information revealed to us, but in these next chapters, we may not only get much more information about important events, but these events may explain some of the doubts and questions we've had running throughout the work for a very long time. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the possible events that will happen in chapter 1062, what other information we may see in these next chapters, and what the fate of the One Piece story might turn out to be. But before we get into that, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like or even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or your favorite with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So my friends, in chapter 1061, we saw that Luffy and Chopper had managed to save Bonnie, but the three were dragged away by a current to a nearby island, and this distanced them from the rest of the crew that was on the Sunny. And now that they're together, they're gonna walk around the island in search of information, as well as to get supplies to feed themselves. So this looks to be the beginning of a new arc, and again, the Straw Hats are gonna be divided into two groups. While Luffy, Chopper, Jinbei, and Bonnie are undercover on the islands of Vegapunk, the other group may have just been intercepted by enemies, because as we saw towards the end of the chapter, the Straw Hats were attacked by a large shark robot, and the Thousand Sunny was almost swallowed by it, but they managed to escape as they were knocked up by the shark's attack. To get away from the shark robot and get closer to where Luffy and the others were in the water, Frankie tried to use the ship's coupe to burst, but the Straw Hats noticed something strange was happening underneath them. But before Frankie was able to activate their escape, the robot shark hit the Sunny with two missiles, causing everyone on the ship to fall in the water, even those that didn't possess devil fruits, and they were stunned by the large explosion that happened. Next, a gigantic robot appears, and seeing that the big sharp robot was about to strike, the robot hits the shark and destroys it, and then scoops up the Thousand Sunny, simultaneously not only pulling up the ship, but saving the drowning Straw Hats. As the Straw Hats try to catch their breath, we then see a girl revealed inside the robot, and this young lady introduces herself as Dr. Vegapunk, the Marine's top scientist, and through Vegapunk, the Straw Hats are going to get some important information about the world and perhaps learn even more about devil fruits. The devil fruit information will be especially important because in an SBS, Oda said that a great scientist would appear in the future to explain much more about these mysterious devil fruits, possibly explaining how they came to be and how they're able to give power to those that eat them. So far, we only know a little about what has been called the Lineage Factor, which is a briefly told explanation that is only gonna briefly satisfy our curiosity about the mystery overall about these devil fruits. But only with a full, in-depth explanation of what the Lineage Factor is, will we ever know what these fruits are able to do and how they give their power to those that eat them. And maybe we'll even learn how they originated. Speaking of the Lineage Factor, it was briefly explained to us that Lineage Factor is the model of life itself, much like what we consider to be DNA. And it's present in all living organisms, and it was discovered by a research team that was led by Dr. Vegapunk and Vince Smoke Judge. All life forms have the Lineage Factor, and by manipulating it early on, a life form's growth can be altered, and eating a devil fruit affects a person's Lineage Factor and allows the user to gain supernatural abilities. It was said by Oda in that same SBS that this great scientist would better explain about the Lineage Factor. And as we know, the only one that's going to be able to give us that answer about devil fruits is Vegapunk himself. He is an immensely important scientist and often considered to be the smartest person in the world. And he's been doing this life and conducting research on devil fruits his entire life. And together with Judge, Vegapunk found out about the Lineage Factor and allowed him to start his research on creating artificial devil fruits. But for some reason, Vegapunk just wasn't as successful as he wanted to be, so he decided to abandon the research. And there it lied dormant until Caesar took it up and started creating the Smile Fruits. So as we can see, Vegapunk has a great knowledge about devil fruits. So when Vegapunk explains to the Straw Hats how these fruits are able to give their power to someone, in fully explaining what the Lineage Factor Factor is, not only will we get the ability to better understand the fruits overall, it may even make it possible for us to understand how Teach got the power of 2 fruits. But it still may be a little early for that to happen. I mean, after all, Vegapunk is still maybe an enemy of the Straw Hats. Vegapunk himself already confirmed that he is hired by the world government, so his goal is to finish off pirates. But again, there might be the possibility that Vegapunk at some point will make a brief alliance with the Straw Hats for some mutual interest. Consider the fact that with this giant robot that easily took out that giant shark, Vegapunk could have easily dispatched the Straw Hats right then and there, but he didn't. So at least we can consider the fact that there's no hostile intentions yet towards the Straw Hats. Vegapunk may only be on the side of the world government because of the equipment and support they're able to provide for the research. So Vegapunk, just for right now, is on the world government's side. However, because he's a scientist, he may not really care about pirates or the world government or which side is which. Vegapunk may just want to do their experiments with state-of-the-art equipment. And this could indicate that Vegapunk could in fact end up helping the Straw Hats if they offer him something that he's really interested in, some precious information, or even by going on a mission in search of something that Vegapunk desperately wants. In Chapter 1061, we saw that there were Marines that may be important for the future of One Piece because the Marine base G14 is located very near the islands of Vegapunk, and it's currently being inhabited by members of the organization SWORD. We saw that Helmeppo, Hibari, Prince Cross, some other General Marines, and even Tashigi are at this Marine base, which means they may be called upon to go face the Straw Hats soon. So right now, we don't know if Vegapunk will turn the Straw Hats immediately over to the Marines, or if Vegapunk will just take them in. But because these Marines are so close to Vegapunk's lab and islands, it means that it's only a matter of time for them to come in contact with each other. We saw Helmeppo desperately begging Prince Cross to use his Seraphim to go rescue Kobe, but Prince refuses because it would have been dangerous to attack a Yonko, and it would only make the pirates turn against the Marines all the more. So as we can see, the Seraphim are with them and near them, which means that soon the Straw Hats are going to encounter the Seraphim for the first time, and the Seraphim other than the ones that we saw used to attack Amazon Lily. These Seraphim could even have the pirate-like appearance of those that would make a huge impact on the Straw Hats. And even if the Straw Hats are as strong as they are, Seraphim are not going to be an easy task to take care of. You see, the Seraphim were specifically designed to replace the warlords, so even if they're just robots created by the SSG, they're going to be considered one of the 3 pillars in the world of One Piece and meant to uphold stability of the whole world. This makes these cyborgs not only highly powerful, but also dangerous worldwide, because they would be considered as powerful as a Yonko and might even be able to defeat a Yonko if the SSG used them to attack a single one. From what we've been able to gather, the Seraphim are cyborgs, which means they seem to have a consciousness of their own, although they are programmed to obey orders of their superiors. Now, we don't know if they're intelligent or how intelligent, because we've only seen them briefly appear, and we haven't seen them in kind of any more elaborate battle. So even if we don't know about their level of intelligence and autonomy, we do know that they are incredibly physically strong and equipped with weapons that would be really useful during combat, such as the lasers we've seen shooting out of their hands, and even more powerful weapons to use during specific missions. With the 2 examples that we've seen so far, we also know that they have access to other weapons, such as swords, which they're able to wield with incredible levels of mastery, as demonstrated by the Dracula Mihawk-based Seraphim. Having bred Mihawk's characteristics into it, he displayed an incredibly destructive level of swordplay that was capable of splitting a mountain in half. Although, this is something we could probably also attribute to somebody like Mihawk himself. To be fair, this still may not compare to Mihawk's full strength, but Seraphim Mihawk still shows himself to be superior to many other swordsmen, and may have a level of fencing ability close to Zoro's, or he may even match him. After all, this Seraphim showed enough strength and skill to cause Marshal D. Teach to be concerned about their presence, causing him to be amazed by the Seraphim's appearance and power, although he seemed to have defeated him, or at least sucked him into a black hole that he could be used or destroyed later. In addition to the qualities that were given to them from the warlord that they were based on, these Seraphim also seem to possess traits of the Lunarians, who were once considered divine gods many years ago, and are also considered to be superior to humans. But for some unknown reason, the Lunarian race has almost become extinct, where King is the only lone member remaining of his race. So the Seraphim are based on some of the most powerful things we've seen. They are based on warlords with immense power and ability, Lunarians who have great speed and durability, and they're also cyborgs. That means that they are almost impossible to be cut or injured. So this really makes a really solid package. The Gorgon sisters even admitted during their conversation with Boa Hancock and Raelian Shockey that the Seraphim involved at the siege of Amazon Lily barely even had a scratch on them, despite the fact that the Amazonian warriors are powerful and skilled, and you know they weren't just holding back trying to defend their home. In addition to that, it may not even be Teach's power of darkness that was able to suck in Seraphim Mihawk that would be able to destroy it. So this would mean it's a very big problem for the Straw Hats if they come across more on the islands of Vegapunk. And finally, besides everything that's going on around Vegapunk, we may also get more information about the revolutionaries regarding the events that caused Sabo to maybe lose his life before the link was cut. During his call, Sabo was informing the revolutionaries that there was somebody sitting upon the empty throne, and that he was not responsible for taking the life of King Nefertari. So the revolutionaries will have some very important topics to talk about. During these plans, we will get to know what the revolutionaries' next step will be, and they're probably going to start a plan of attack against the world government. Because if there is someone on this throne, then it means that there is someone above the Gorosei, and they need to defeat this mysterious person to be able to finally overthrow the world government and bring their tyranny to an end. So with all that said, my friends, these are our expectations of 1062. And for now, we'd love to know what you think about it. What kind of secrets do you think the Straw Hats are going to learn in their time with Vegapunk on his island? Will we see more pacifista based on other warlords? Do we think we're going to learn more about Devil Fruit? And if we learn more about Devil Fruit, what secret are you looking forward to most? And finally, what do you think is going to be happening with the revolutionaries? Do you think Sabo's really dead, or do you think he was more or less looking from a distance when we saw the event happen in Leloucha? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up this video, I want to thank you all so much for watching the video all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I can't wait to see you all in our next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.